just want to start this video off by saying a massive thank you to every single one of you. We hit 300,000 subscribers this morning and I can't believe it's happened so quickly. It really does mean a lot to me and I'm so glad that you're all here to join me on the journey. We're learning so much along the way. I'm learning lots too from you guys, so let's just continue this growth and hopefully hit 400,000 in no time at all. I'm going to do something a little bit extravagant for this one. I thought I'd do like a nice double bacon cheeseburger. There is quite a bit going on to it. The recipe is easy to make though, but it does taste absolutely incredible. Let's get straight into it. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, starting this off, here is one white onion that we want to remove the tip and peel, and to prepare it I'm using the Koi Knives Nakiri knife to get the job done. With the onion we're going to use it for two parts in this recipe, with the first being rings of onion to go inside the finished burger, and to do this simply slice 3 or 4 slices with the thickness up to you, then push the slices through the centre to break up the layers, creating our rings that can be placed in the fridge for later on. For the second part we want to slice the onion in half through the root, saving half for stock or another recipe, then make thin slices across, stopping just before the root, which will keep it intact, rotate it 90 degrees to make 2 horizontal slices through the centre, again stopping at the root, then dice this into as fine pieces as you can, trimming off any excess flesh, saving the remaining root for stock. You can also continue chopping it once it's been diced to create even finer pieces if you wish to do so. Next, for the finished burger, we're going to need 1 large washed tomato, and for this I'm using the Koi Knife's Gyuto knife. As for the tomato, simply slice across, creating even sized pieces, and again the thickness is up to you and of course the amount of slices you'd like for each burger, but if you're like me, a good amount of tomato is needed, and you may even want to use 2 tomatoes depending on how thirsty you are for tomatoes. We are also going to need 4 large leaves of cos lettuce that's been washed and slightly dried. Now for our mayonnaise or burger sauce, depending on what you want to call it, here is 3 strips of dill pickles, and to prepare these I'm using the Koi Knife's Petty knife. With the pickles, very thinly slice them into strips, trying your best to get them as small as possible, rotate 90 degrees, and again dice it into small pieces as fine as you can. The reason I'm saying for it to be really small is because the more it's broken down, the stronger the flavour will be, and you don't also want to be biting into large chunks of pickle, unless of course you're into that kind of thing. To make our mayo or burger sauce, add 200 milliliters or 200 grams of flavorless olive oil to a tall jar or container, along with 1 whole egg, which is the fat to create an emulsion, 1.5 teaspoons or 15 milliliters of white vinegar to add acidity, and 1 teaspoon or 10 grams of Dijon mustard for a sweet tang. Let's then place in an immersion blender and mix this up on medium speed, which is going to piece together the fat and water particles, creating an emulsion, or in this case our base plain mayonnaise, and keep blending just until everything is well mixed and that mayo is nice and thick with 3 C's. With that done, transfer the mayo to a clean bowl, making sure to get it all in there using a spatula for best results. Then to this, add in 1 teaspoon or 2.5 grams of onion powder for a concentrated flavour, 1 teaspoon or 2.5 grams of garlic powder, again for a concentrated flavour, 1 teaspoon or 2.5 grams of regular paprika for a nice colour and light peppery flavour, 2 tablespoons or 40 grams of tomato ketchup for colour and a sweet tang, 1 teaspoon or 10 grams of American mustard for a strong, pungent, sweet and spice, the very finely diced onion to create texture, and you probably guessed it, an onion flavour, and the very finely diced pickle, which is going to add a nice sweet acidity. This can then be given a good mix through using a spatula or a whisk, which will allow those flavours to become friends, and once mixed, give it a quick taste and season to taste, with myself adding in a pinch of sea salt flakes and 10 cracks of black pepper. Give it one final mix through just until you have this beautiful concoction, to which can then be placed into the fridge until we're ready to serve. Now for the burgers, here is 500 grams or 1.1 pounds of beef mince or ground beef with a fat percentage of 18%, which is needed to get nice juicy burgers. Slide this on into the mixing bowl and add in 1 teaspoon or 2.5 grams of both onion and garlic powder for that concentrated flavour, 2 teaspoons or 5 grams of regular paprika for colour and peppery notes, 1.5 teaspoons or 7 grams of sea salt flakes, and of course 20 cracks of black pepper. Let's then get our clean hands in there and gently mix just until the seasoning is mixed through. We don't want to overwork it, otherwise the texture will be like sausage meat. Also, if you have a particular seasoning mix you prefer, by all means use that instead. Burgers aren't limited to a set of seasonings, you can literally add whichever favourite ingredients you may have. With that done, I like to then evenly divide the burger mix into 4 125 gram or 4.4 ounce patties and roll them into balls without overworking them again. Then use your hands to smash them out, which will create a better crust and allow them to cook quicker and retain moisture. And once that's all done, put them aside for the time being. Just before we cook the burgers, let's quickly prepare 8 rashers of streaky bacon, which comes from the pork belly, but back bacon is fine too. Evenly lay this out on a baking tray lined with parchment paper, and they can slightly overlap if need be. Then make your way over to a preheated oven set at 200 degrees Celsius or 390 degrees Fahrenheit and cook for 10 minutes or until the bacon is done to how you like it. Place a large pan onto your stovetop, whack it over a high heat. Once hot, add in 1 tablespoon or 20 milliliters of olive oil, then gently place in the patties, doing so away from you to avoid any oil splashing back, also doing this in batches, and sear for 1.5 to 2 minutes or until a beautiful golden crust is formed. 1.5 minutes later, let's then gently flip them over, searing for 1 minute this time, and once flipped, immediately place over some cheese with the option of which cheese is up to you. I'm personally using red Leicester, but I do recommend the orange American cheddar if you can get it. After the final minute, the patties are beautifully golden and the cheese is melted. These can then be removed and allowed to rest for 2 to 3 minutes. In the meantime, prepare your burger buns with the choice of bread up to you. I'm using seeded brioche for mine and I'm placing them onto a baking tray lined with parchment paper and toasting them in the oven with the bacon for roughly 1 minute on each side, but you don't have to toast them if you don't want to. Once everything's done, place a generous amount of the burger sauce on both top and bottom bun, lightly spreading it out with the back of a spoon. Place down the washed and lightly dried cos lettuce on the bottom bun. Place the tomatoes over the top, evenly spreading them out so we get all of the ingredients with each bite, also sprinkling over a pinch of sea salt flakes. Then add on the first delicious cheesy patty, 3 or 4 slices of onions, again spreading them out, and add on the bacon. Let's then repeat again with the patty, onion slices and bacon, and last but not least, top it off by placing over that lid using the sauce as a glue, which is also going to make its way down the burger. This then leaves us with this incredible treat, and I'd like to thank you all for 300,000 subscribers. It really does mean a lot to me. But do you know what else means a lot? We can then dig in.